Today's September 1st, 2024. We are going to remove the apivar strips out of these hives and feed them and possibly do a little bit of an inspection on them. This hive has been doing pretty good so far. It probably doesn't need any food yet, but I'm going to give it food just so that it's good and healthy for the winter. They have built up a lot of propolis in the last week. You shouldn't be grabbing the apivar strips without gloves.
It doesn't, but...
And this top box looks pretty full. Can you puff this for a minute and keep it going? They have sealed the two boxes pretty well together. Oh, and that's a heavy box. We had 2 strips in each box, so there's 4 total. I'm gonna look. I ain't gonna go through the box completely, but I'm gonna look and see how they're doing with their brood and stores in the bottom box if they have any. They've been storing up some nectar on this frame. The one side's still not drawn out towards the wall. Sometimes they just don't draw those out. This one looks like it's been recently drawn and is filled with nectar. The third frame in is a brood frame. There is a mixture of capped brood and larvae. I'm going to bring this out to the camera real quick. I'm not sure how well you can see that. There's capped brood over on this side, and then larger larvae working down to smaller larvae on the other end. For some reason, I have some wonky comb on this next one. Looks like it. I know why it does. That's where the apivar strip was. There's a big void on the side where the strip was. Hopefully they'll draw that out. That's some beautiful comb. I can't tell if they have anything in those cells or not. On this end, there's younger larvae. That side's full of nectar. It's odd that they would have nectar in the middle of their brood nest. This whole side is open brood with a small patch down in the corner of capped, and some they're getting ready to cap. Since you all haven't seen her much on camera, this is Tracy. She's usually the camera lady. I've gone through this box enough. I can see they're doing really good. I'm going to close this bottom box back up.
Is the top box heavy?
Yes, the top box is very heavy. They've got that thing pretty full of food as well. Oh. I'll sit this box back up there. Since you asked the question if it has much weight, if you want to just grab a hold of one of the handles, I need to use that anyways. Just see how heavy. Just raise up one side so you can get a feel for the weight.
Yeah.
There's a good 80 to 90 pounds in that box.
Oh, now you're gonna have to
and it sticks to the lower box, so that makes it seem even heavier. That may not be 80 or 90. With it sticking, I think it makes it feel heavier. After I feed them, I am going to look at a few frames up here in this top box. Just see what they have done or what they do have. I'm wanting to think the last time we looked, most of the upper box was full.
Oh, the apivar. Like, this one's weird.
So they've taken a whole gallon. There was bees already in the feeder searching, trying to get the last few drops that we gave them the last time.
I want to help some of the ladies out.
There's a few
Got a little bit.
got down in the water. Most of them are making it out. I hope a few more get up out of it. They'll lick themselves clean and have full bellies afterwards. Tracy's usually busy with the camera instead of getting to be up in the hive. So she ain't got gloves on. I was gonna let her feel how heavy this frame is.
She doesn't need those.
It is I would say a good 90% capped frame of honey. You want to see the weight of it? Now you're going to have orange fingers.
Yeah.
A little bit of weight to just one frame. The next frame's pretty much identical. Looking down between them, looks like the next couple frames are identical or just as full. I'm going to check this outer one. Unfortunately, I just ripped open a bunch of honey because of the beetle trap that's right next to the frame. So they may not like me right now. It was not capped yet. It has open cells of nectar on both sides of this frame. And there's bees hanging from it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together and close it back up so they can fix my mistake just now. Because there's a big spot that's ripped open. I'm going to put the beetle trap back, which this is one of the reusable ones. Here soon I have to pull this, clean it out, and re-oil it. I also have one of the disposable types right here. And somehow or another, they both got moved right next to each other. They're both doing their job. They both caught beetles. So at some point, I'm going to have to refill them. This one I'm probably going to have to replace. But with that being said, that's going to be a job for another day. I'm going to close these guys back up, these ladies. And we will move on to the next hive. And yeah, That will be it for this one. If you want to pause it until the next hive. We're at hive 2 now. We're going to get in the hive and do the same thing. Remove the apivar strips and feed them. And we will do a quick check on them. And I still have not replaced this inner cover. One hive beetle on the outside of the inner cover. Oh. And there's one on the inner cover. They've purplized this apivar strip in there. Try to get the bees to stay in their hive. If they stay in the box for a minute, I'm sure they'll decide real quick not to stay in with the apivar strips. We are now to hive 8. We had the camera overheat on us earlier, so I'm not sure how much we've lost. So we're now going to pull the apivar strips out of 8 and give them some food. I think it was hive 2 that we was trying to record when it overheated. Hive 4 was actually in good shape. We fed them. They had plenty of food though. Hive 2, 3, and 6 could use some more feed after we gave them food, but they could definitely use some more weight gained. I'm going to sit the top box to the side just so I can get the apivar strips out of the bottom. Possibly. Oh, this has some weight to it. It ain't as heavy as some of the other hives, but that's a good 50-pound box. And they've got the bees. And this is a hive that hasn't liked Tracy a few times. As I just seen, she backed away. I'm not going to inspect them a whole lot. I can see the bottom box, 8.5, or actually probably 9, 8.5 to 9 frames are drawn out and filled with stuff. Not sure if it's brood or honey, but they've definitely drawn it out and got stuff in it. Whew. That's a good weight box. I'm going to dump them a little bit of feed. Now I'll look at a few frames real quick. It looks like the 2 outer frames ain't drawn out yet. The rest look like they're drawn out and have stuff in them. We'll look real quick and see what they have in them. We're just working right now on getting them up to shape so that we have them next spring. The outer frame is empty. The second frame is empty on the outside. It has a small patch on the inside. And these are the bees that are a little more defensive. Oh. But they also fill stuff up real quick. This is a heavy frame of nothing but honey. They've actually drawn it out thicker than they should have. The next frame looks, next two frames, actually this whole top box looks like it's honey. The second from the feeder is actually drawn out too fat. They're actually using up the space of the outer frame because the honey comb is sticking out so far. And I thought that frame was empty because of that. They made real thin comb. So they're, just because they don't have the room because they built it too thick next to it. So it averages out between the two of them. So they're actually, this hive's doing pretty good. They could still use a little more weight before winter, but they ain't in bad need of feed adding on right now. So we got the apivar strip out, apivar strips. They've got another gallon of feed, and we seen how they was doing. We are on hive 10. Wasn't sure if we was going to do any more videoing today, but might as well go ahead and get some video in while we're out here. So we're getting the apivar strips out of this and giving them some feed. If I remember right, this hive should be in decent shape. I'm going to pull the top box off. Oh, they do a good job of sealing them together. So, I'm only seeing one apivar strip in the bottom box. I have a feeling it was stuck to the bottom side. I'm not seeing it down there either. You can if you want to. So that one was in this corner. I'm going to start on this outside and just, I guess I'm going to give a quick little inspection. This frame has a lot of pollen. See all the pollen down in the frame, or down in the cells? And there's actually a queen cup that's not charged. And Tracy found the apivar strip that quick. Since I already pulled one out, I'm going to look at a couple of these real quick. Nectar and pollen. They've got pollen all through that side. They've got a little bit of pollen stored up, which is good. They got propolis built up pretty good on the ends of these. They've got 2 more queen cups drawn out on this. This side is full of eggs. I'll bring it over and see if the camera will pick it up real quick. With the light that it's in, I don't know if it will or not. So down in the bottoms of the cells, there's little white specks or eggs.
The cells are empty though.
Yeah, there is what.
Cells.
Oh yeah, the queen cells are empty. The cups, queen cups, but the cells have eggs in them. So here's a frame of brood. There's a little bit of cap brood, but there is a lot of larvae and brood in that side. This side has a queen cup, and that's a queen cup. I wonder if they're thinking they're getting ready to swarm. I hope they don't have that in their mind. None of them are charged. So far. This side just has a little spot drawn out. Both sides, really. And they've got a lot of these. I'm going to rip this one open. They don't even have royal jelly in it or anything. They're either practicing or they're really thinking about it, but because they got all kinds of resources. But it would be a bad idea this time of the year to swarm. That whole bottom side of that one is all empty. This one they're filling full of nectar on the bottom half. The top's already capped honey. This one they're starting to work on drawing out. They don't have anything in it yet. On this side towards you, there is some capped honey. And they're filling up the rest on that side with nectar. Yes, I even shown it on the camera. They've filled this all up with nectar on both sides. I've seen some brood, but not as much as I'd like to have seen. And I'm thinking this hive is the one that's gotten me before, thinking there wasn't much brood. But she lays everything on the one side and a lot in the top. To be sure, I'm going to go through at least a couple frames on the top hive. Or on the top box. They got these purplized together pretty well. Nothing on the outer frame. That's mostly empty cells with some nectar in there. That's just a little bit of honey. There is brood in this box on the bottom, but she should have a whole lot more than what she has. So all those cells we've seen may be supersede cells because the ladies don't like the way she's laying. Oh, I found more brood. I'll turn this around so you can see it. There's young eggs, or eggs and young larvae down in this bottom section. That side's got some cat brood, some young eggs around it. She's tricked us a few times. This next frame has brood on it. That's a lot better than what we've been seeing. That side's even better. young eggs in there too, in the empty, what looks to be empty cells. For some reason, she likes the upper box, and she's confused me or tricked me a few times. This next frame's brood, and there is the lady that likes to trick me, the queen of the hive. There is a lot of royal jelly down in some of these cells with young larvae. This other side is brood also. The next frame has a tiny bit of brood, but it's the outer frame, which is unusual. But it looks like it's mostly nectar. So now, since we know the queen is in there laying and doing a decent job, and a decent job of tricking me, we'll get her closed back up. She lays in the bottom. There's young ones in the bottom right now. I don't know why she prefers the top box though. So after realizing how much brood they have in this top box that I thought was nectar, they could definitely put on some weight for the winter. Because that top box was heavy, but after going through it, it was mostly brood. There was some honey in there and some nectar. So they now have a gallon of feed to hopefully put on some more weight. Don't see many of them in most of the hives, but when I do, it seems like the bees like to chase the hive beetles, which is why we don't see many of them. But that will be it for this hive. We may or may not see you on the next hive, so till next time.